Shalom Aleichem. Welcome to the Feast of Weeks knowledge that I have been studying and enjoying immensely. Feast of Weeks. Another one of our high holy days that we worship according to solar time. As usual, I have many ideas from which to approach the Feast of Weeks. And because of the constraints of time, I am not able to deal with all that I would like to read and present at this time for the Feast of Weeks in May. But nevertheless, I will share a few notes with you, a few revelations concerning Feast of Weeks. As we prepare to understand the Feast of Weeks, we should get an understanding of what a feast means. What exactly does a feast mean? A feast is a celebration. By definition, a feast is a ceremony. We must also come to understand that a feast is a rite, R-I-T-E, rite. And a feast is a ritual. So we're talking about Feast of Weeks being an observance. Now, each one of these words are extremely important for us to study, to take an unusual look at, to devote a great deal of attention to. Because further, a feast is a memorialization. So we want to come to understand what exactly is being memorialized. What does this ceremony actually represent? What do these rituals represent? They do represent something. We do know that the Bible is written cryptically, and as such, it has a far deeper meaning than the surface indicates. A feast is also a commemoration. Our Feast of Weeks is designed for remembrance. There's something that we are to remember. Obviously, when we look at the condition of our people, they have no knowledge that they should keep the Feast of Weeks. They have no sense of connection to Feast of Weeks. Though their homes are full of Bibles, yet in the reading of them, they don't really feel any connection to Feast of Weeks. A feast is a solemnization, a very solemn occasion. Why is it solemn? What does solemn mean? Why should we be serious about it? A feast is also known as an occasion, an event. And think about this, a feast is also known as a holy day. Now, that's been corrupted into holiday by the gods of this world. And of course, we know that holidays, many of them are nonsensical. They don't seem to have any rhyme or reason or any true purpose other than to have people spend money in buying symbols and eating a lot of foods and having picnics, and this kind of thing. But no real study or certainly nothing holy about the holidays that are going on. So here, our holy feasts, or our feasts of Passover, Feast of Weeks, Feast of Tabernacles, are holy days. That requires us to study holy. Feast of Weeks is also Saints' Day. The feast is also known as a Saints' Day. Who are the saints? How do you get to be a saint? What is a true saint? What is a saint of Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh? There's a particular day that Feast of Weeks is known as Saints' Day. Well, we're going to have to bring some of that into our knowledge. A feast is also means an anniversary, something that is done annually. A feast is also known as Jubilee, or a festival. We need to study Jubilee, study all there is about Jubilee, because the day of Jubilee is at hand. We want to know exactly how do we fit into this festival. Feast is also a banquet. It certainly does include the eating of food. A feast includes merrymaking. We want to know, what are we making merry of? A feast is for refreshment and for entertainment. It certainly does include that. According to the gods of this world and the people of this world who follow them, they are entertained for entertainment's sake, certainly not from a holy perspective. Feast also includes to wine and to dine. Therefore, some people, that's all a feast means, is to eat food and get high or get drunk. Nothing more, nothing less. A feast is also means to treat, enjoy a treat, enjoy treating others to food and wine. A feast is also known to honor. So it's an occasion to honor. Honor who? Honor what? To honor why? These are some of the ideas we must consider when we keep Feast of Weeks or any of our holy feasts. Feast also means to kill the fatted calf. Feast also means to salute, to gratify, and to delight. A feast means to please. You go to please somebody, someone. A feast is also designed to make happy, to charm, and to gladden. Also, a feast means to cheer. And that's an extremely important word. I wish to call it to your attention so that you will also pull it out and study it carefully. Feast means to thrill and to amuse, to admire and to relish. Now, another common meaning for feast is to revel, and that's the root word for revelry. And of course, the people of the world, that's what they're known for, revelry. And also we, the children of Israel, the nation of Yudewafe, our people, as Israel, we've always fallen away from the true purpose, meaning, and understanding of the feast and gotten off into revelry. So now we have touched some of what feast means. I took the liberty to look at feast from the total perspective of the Old Testament all the way through the New Testament. And feast in Hebrew is the word mishteh. It's pronounced mishteh. Spelled in Hebrew, mem, sheen, tav, hey. And according to the Hebrew dictionary of the definition of mishteh, it means to drink, to imbibe. It means drinking. Mishteh also means to be drunk. Mishteh means a banquet, the place of drinking, namely wine. should know that I also found information other than simply in the Hebrew dictionary. I'm sure you know that according to my method of teaching you how to study. But it certainly does include what it has to say there. Mishteh, feast, in Hebrew also means a yearly holiday. Anything which calls for a celebration. We must come to know that our people, the so-called black people, who are in fact the tribe of Judah, we forgot Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh because we spent so much time in such revelry, according to Isaiah chapter 5, verse 12. You may read that at your leisure and discover that that is what we were guilty of, spending a lot of time in revelry. Now, there are several key points in the Hebrew word mishteh, mem, shin, tav, hey. First, let's take a look at the word imbib. Imbib. It means to take or receive into the mind. Now that's kind of shocking, and it should be. Imbib means to take or to receive into the mind. That's what the purpose of the feast is to receive something into the mind, take something into the mind. Now, just reading the Bible, we don't see that. Also, imbib means to impregnate or to inspire, as with feelings or opinions. Imbib also means to fire up or to motivate and to infuse. Think about that. That's one of the key meanings of mishteh, imbib, in Hebrew. Now, the carnal mind only sees revelry and drinking. That's the limit of the carnal mind. That's the nature of the carnal mind. Revelry and drinking. You've been to parties of the world. You know how they carry on. It's all foolishness, nonsense, baseness, low-mindedness. Now, on the other hand, the spiritual mind sees drinking as a symbol or token for infusion of spiritual purposes. The spiritual mind, that is to cause the various spiritual ideas from these symbols, to cause the various spiritual ideas from these tokens to penetrate our conscious minds and to instill the spiritual truths from these symbolic lessons into our minds, creating supreme loyalty to our God, Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh. The spiritual mind sees drinking as a symbol or token for infusion of spiritual purposes so as to inspire us with enthusiasm in keeping the laws of Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh, which opens the windows of heavenly understanding and pours out blessings we do not have room to receive. The spiritual mind sees drinking as a symbol or token for infusion of spiritual purposes to let these symbolic truths soak into our minds so as to extract the spiritual properties or ingredients. For the invisible things of Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power in Godhead, so that you are without excuse. Now, we want to ask a very, very important question. Very important question now. And that question is, why the use of wine? Why the use of wine? Now, this is something we've never thought of in all the thousands of years of our feast. Why wine? Why is it used? Why did the Creator himself, Almighty, Sovereign, Yahweh, decree that we have wine as a part of our feast? Well, reflection upon the process of making wine is a deep spiritual lesson. So let's take a look at this deep spiritual lesson. A natural raw ripe grape has a nutritional and healing property when eaten. On the other hand, when the grape properties are altered by the process of fermentation, then a biochemical change is brought about by any of a group of living organisms as yeast, enzymes, molds, or certain bacteria, which convert grape sugar into ethyl alcohol. That's what fermentation is. Fermentation is a biochemical change brought about by any of a group of living organisms, such as yeast enzymes, molds, or certain bacteria, which convert grape sugar into ethyl alcohol. Now, what does this do? This can cause the mind to become inflamed or to kindle or excite passions or to excite desires to a high degree. What else can happen when the grape is converted to grape sugar, converts the grape sugar into ethyl alcohol? It raises the blood bodily tissue to a morbid or feverish heat. What else does this conversion of grape sugar into ethyl alcohol do? It causes one to seize with agitation or excitement, even as of creativity. Some people have been known to drink wine and say they think better. They are more creative at that time. Well, it does have an effect, but it may have a greater spiritual effect than one would ever think. When wine, the grapes, as these enzymes, bacteria have this effect, and the grape is converted into grape sugar, and that's converted into ethyl alcohol, then it can cause unrest and tumult. The fermentation of the grape, converting grape sugar into ethyl alcohol, can alter the normal mental or thought process. Now, ethyl is a chemical containing the ethyl group, such as ethyl ether, which numbers are C2H5, parenthesis, 2O. Now, as the elect, Judah, who is also the Godhead, also the so-called black man, we must take a closer look at this complex, symbolic spiritual lesson as relates to our creativity and rulership. Our high holy feasts are indeed dynamic. Now, ethyl acetate, coming from the grape, is a volatile, flammable liquid, CH2, COOC2, H5. And it has a fragrant, fruit-like odor. as a scent in the manufacturing of perfume and is used as a solvent for paints and lacquers. Think about this. All from the grape, a part of the ritual in our holy feast. A secret locked up into this little tiny round thing called a grape that is sweet to our taste, that can be a healing and nutritional value to us. Yet here we are suddenly into the secret of manufacturing when understood spiritually. And when studied spiritually, we come into the knowledge that the grape is, as ethyl acetate, is a volatile, flammable liquid, yet it has a fragrant, fruit-like odor. Just think about that. It's volatile and flammable means it is highly destructive. At the same time, to the sense of smell, it has a beautiful fragrance. And not only that, it has a fragrance of something that we love, fruit. So there's a fruit-like odor that is used chiefly, not the only use, but chiefly as a scent in manufacturing perfume. Something that the majority of the planet loves to buy and wear and use. Most importantly, here we are as manufacturers. And we're taught to have vineyards. And it's also used as a solvent for paints and lacquers. Another derivative of the grape, in the process of fermentation, you come up with ethyl acetate, which I just told you about. Now, isn't that something? Ethyl acetate from fermentation. Now, another derivative from fermentation of the grape is ethylate. And this is to introduce one or more ethyl groups into a compound. I know this is shocking to you, but you must come to understand how powerful our spiritual holy feasts are and what they really mean for us to learn. Now, ethylate is a metallic derivative of ethyl alcohol. Can you believe a metallic derivative of ethyl alcohol, which is the fermentation of the grape, producing a biochemical change brought about through a group of living, not dead, living organisms, converting grape sugars into the ethyl groups from ethyl alcohol? Think about how powerful that is. How powerful you say, wow, it is. See, he knows this up front. We have not known it. We just get off and drinking wine. Now here we have ethylate is a metallic derivative of ethyl alcohol as potassium ethylate, KOC2H5. Another derivative from the grape fermentation is ethylene. And this contains the ethylene group, also called ethene, which is a flammable gas. CH2 equals CH2. Unbelievable. From the grape fermentation, living organisms changing, converting grape sugar into ethyl alcohol. Now we come down to ethene, a flammable gas, which is the first member of the ethylene series used to improve the color of citric fruits. Listen to that well now. Here is a flammable gas used to improve the color of citric fruits. There's no real reason for the color of citric fruits to be improved upon. There is no reason. It comes out perfectly beautiful as Yahweh has intended it from His creation. But then the gods of this world always seeks to change things and make it different. Always seeks to change things and make it different. Nevertheless, you need to understand what it's used for. Ethylene, a flammable gas, synthesis of organic compounds. It's also used for that. It is also used in the synthesis of organic compounds. And ethylene, this derivative from the grape fermentation, is also used as an inhalation anesthetic. You believe that? Listen well. It is used as an inhalation anesthetic. Ethylene oxide is a gaseous ring compound, C2H4O, used chiefly in the synthesis of ethylene glycol and plastics. Plastics, you heard me. All the plastic containers that you use that is suddenly new to the gods of this world, plastics, this knowledge has always been locked up inside the grape in its fermentation. It has always been going on right in your face. No wonder it affects your mind. Remember, wine is the complex result of ethyl alcohol. Alcohol is also called ethanol, a colorless, volatile, flammable liquid, C2H5OH, which is the intoxicating principle of fermented liquors produced by fermentation of certain carbohydrates as grains, molasses, starch, or sugar. These are obtained synthetically by hydration of ethylene or as a byproduct of certain hydrocarbon synthesis, which is used chiefly as a solvent. It is used in beverages that you drink. It is used in medicines. It is used in organic synthesis. It is used in lotions that you put on your body. It is used in colognes. It is used as antifreeze, and it is used as rocket fuel. Wine, as we have drunk in our lives, and as we are encouraged to drink, yet we have never, ever stopped to think about the process of wine making on a spiritual plane, such as you are receiving at this point. Now here we have a little grape that most of you have had the joy of tasting in your life, a direct creation of Yahweh. Now, what if I walked up to you at any point before this lesson, this sharing, and said to you, I can take this grape and fly off from the planet. I could fly off from the planet. I could take this grape and get lifted and get all the way off the planet in a rocket ship from this grape, with this grape right here. No one would believe that. And yet here you have the grape producing rocket fuel. It makes you nervous to think about drinking wine at all or eating a grape. Certainly in its natural state it doesn't do this to you, but it does have an effect on you in health-wise. But when it's been converted with living organisms, you know, rocket fuel is a product of living organisms, life. Antifreeze, something that'll keep your car from freezing. It works in your refrigeration unit to give you cold food. Amazing. There's quite a bit of study here. And to keep you busy for a long time, because you are to be the manufacturers and producers of all the products of the vineyard that Yahweh not only teaches us to celebrate with the product of as a wine in our feast, but to own the vineyards of the world. That's our job. This alcohol is also, that comes from this grape, is any of a class of chemical compound having the general formula ROH, where R represents an alky group, and OH represents a hydroxyl group, as in methyl alcohol, CH3OH, or in ethyl alcohol, C2H5OH. Also, we get the powdered antimony, like a powder, the distillate, or any concentration, or the essence of a thing, or the abstraction from the grape. You've seen grape concentrate, or you have the essence, which is the smell, the fragrance of, or the abstraction from. Now we must enter into our feast with the determination of altering our consciousness. As the grape is altered by fermentation, we must enter into our feast with the determination of altering our consciousness to understand these spiritual lessons and become intoxicated with the principles of truth. The laws of Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh are perfect, and we must submit to the will of Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh and allow the knowledge of his laws to convert our simple minds to godhood, just as the grape is converted. It converts the grape sugar into ethyl alcohol. With this symbol, this action and process to convert this grape sugar, that same word is to be used by us to convert our simple minds to godhood. The divine laws of Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh can cause the mind to become inflamed. The divine laws of Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh can cause the mind to become kindled. The divine laws of Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh can cause our minds to become excited. And our passions and our desires can be excited to the highest degree of divine morality in the rulership in the kingdom of Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh. Thus, we are beginning to understand that the Feast of Weeks is indeed a special meal prepared for honored guests. That was within the definition of what a feast is. A special meal prepared for honored guests. That was one of the first things that I brought out to you in the meaning of feast, I believe. That's something to think about, isn't it? A special meal designed for and prepared for honored guests. Obviously, this is a cryptic message that only the initiated have the secret code for. I'm not one of their initiates. Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh, Beth News for Feet, Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh is the only one from among the dead so-called blacks who is able to decode, decipher, and loose the seals of the Holy Bible. He has no competitor. This is clear proof before the world that he alone is the long-awaited Messiah the whole world is looking for. So, as we begin to take a closer look, the Feast of Weeks represents the first fruits of the harvest. The first fruits of the harvest. What is this harvest? What is this harvest? The gathering of the saints. This harvest is the gathering of the elect. The Feast of Weeks represents the first fruits of the harvest, which is the gathering of the remnant from among the spiritually blind, deaf, dumb, ignorant, and dead so-called black man, which are the upright. This harvest is about gathering the upstanding people. The Feast of Weeks represents the first fruits of the harvest, which is the gathering of the honest. This harvest is the gathering of the incorruptible. This Feast of Weeks, representing the first fruits of the harvest, is the gathering of the uncorrupt, the uncorrupted. It is the gathering of the ethical, the moral, the principled, the high principled people. This harvest is the gathering of the high-minded and noble-minded people. This harvest of the Feast of Weeks is the gathering of the truthful, the veracious, veridical, and truth-telling, truth-speaking, truth-loving, and truth-dealing people. The Feast of Weeks represents the first fruits of the harvest, which is the gathering of the trustworthy, those who are to be trusted among the people of the earth. The Feast of Weeks represents the first fruits of the harvest, which is the gathering of the responsible, the reliable, the dependable, tried and true, those who are to be counted on as good as one's word. The Feast of Weeks represents the first fruits of the harvest, which is the gathering of the loyal people, the harvest of gathering the faithful, the constant, the staunch people, those who are steadfast. The Feast of Weeks represents the first fruits of the harvest, which is the gathering of the true people, the true-hearted people, those who are noble, illustrious, and venerable. The Feast of Weeks, the first fruits of the harvest, represents gathering the distinguished, gathering the prestigious, gathering the eminent, gathering the preeminent, and gathering the prominent people from among the peoples of the earth. The Feast of Weeks represents the first fruits of the harvest, which is the gathering of the noted, the notable, the people of note, and the marked people of the earth. That's who this special meal is prepared for, these honored guests, representing the harvest, the gathering of the prominent people, the distinguished and prestigious people, the eminent people, the preeminent people of the earth. The Feast of Weeks represents the first fruits of the harvest, the gathering of the honored people, the gathering of the revered people, the gathering of the esteemed people, the people who are held in esteem. The Feast of Weeks represents the first fruits of the harvest, the gathering of the respected people, the gathering of the exalted people, the high people, those who are held in high regard. The Feast of Weeks represents the first fruits of the harvest, the gathering of the celebrated people, the applauded people, the acclaimed people, those who are widely and highly acclaimed, those those who are admired, those who are highly reputed and in high favor. The Feast of Weeks represents the first fruits of the harvest, the gathering of the highly considered people of the earth, the people who are well thought of and who are respectable. The Feast of Weeks represents the first fruits of the harvest, the gathering of the reputable and the creditable people of the earth, the gathering of the estimable, the meritorious people, those who are law-abiding. The Feast of Weeks, the first fruits of the harvest, represents the gathering of the law-loving people of the earth, those who are virtuous, righteous, the uprightness of the earth, those who are chaste. The Feast of Weeks, the first fruits of the harvest, is the ingathering, the gathering of the sinless people, the gathering of the spotless people. This harvest is the gathering of the pure people. This harvest is the gathering of the immaculate and unblemished people of the earth. The Feast of Weeks, the first fruits of the harvest, is the gathering of the unstained, the unspotted, the unsullied people of the earth, the untarnished and undefiled people of this planet Earth. The Feast of Weeks, the first fruits of the harvest, is the gathering of the unsmirched people, those who are worthy, the people who believe in right, doing right, who love right, who are decent and good, a people who are just and fair, honored guests. The Feast of Weeks is preparing this is a special meal prepared for these honored guests. And it's the first fruits of the harvest, which is the gathering of the impartial people, the equitable people, the gathering of the objective people, those who are balanced and level. Feast of Weeks, the first fruits of the harvest, is the gathering of the people who are straight, who are square, the gathering of the people who are fair and square, the gathering of the people who love square dealing. The Feast of Weeks, first fruits of the harvest, is the gathering of the unprejudiced people, those who are non-prejudiced, who are open-minded. The Feast of Weeks, the first fruits of the harvest, is the gathering of those people on the earth who are unbought, unblind, who are open and sincere, open-hearted, gathering those who are ingenious and guileless. The Feast of Weeks, first fruits of the harvest, is the gathering of those people from the planet Earth who are genuine, who are undeceptive, gathering those people on the earth who are undeceitful, undeceiving, and unflinching. The Feast of Weeks, first fruits of the harvest, is the gathering of the people who are above board, bringing together those who are up front, on the level, and no nonsense. The Feast of Weeks, the first fruits of the harvest, is preparing this special meal for the honored guests that we're gathering together who are scrupulous, gathering these people who are full of self-respect, who are full of dignity and candidness. They are full of faithfulness and exhibit pride in all that they do. You must admit that this requires a special meal for such honored guests. The Feast of Weeks represents the 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. This special group are holy, godly. This special group are pious. This special group are pietistic. This 144,000, they are reverent, God-fearing. This special group is devout. This special group of 144,000 are devotional, believing, and religious. This special group of 144,000 saints are upright, right-minded, spiritual, and are the first fruits of the harvest. They are also otherworldly, unworldly. They are innocent and childlike. This special group, 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel, are lamb-like, dove-like, saint-like. This special group are perfect, pure, and clean. This special group is angelic, heavenly, heaven-born. They are celestial, ethereal, supernal. They're divine, godlike, and blessed. We are celebrating the coming together of the Godhead, who are persons of great holiness, virtue, and benevolence. These are Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh's chosen, selected for divine mercy and favor, especially for eternal life and salvation. The Feast of Weeks is a banquet for those chosen to exhibit the divine character, chosen to exhibit the divine nature, chosen to exhibit the divine condition, chosen to exhibit the divine spirit, chosen to exhibit the divine power, chosen to exhibit the divine genius, chosen to exhibit the divine mercy, and chosen to exhibit the divinity of Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh and his son Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh Beth-Nun Sophit Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh. From the present revelations of feasts, we can clearly see that the noble purpose of our holy feast is hidden from public understanding. It is easier to understand why our people, Judah, the so-called black man, forgot Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh by spending their time in revelry, much as it is this day. Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink, that continue until night, till wine inflame them, and the harp and the viol, the tabret and the pipe, and wine are in their feasts, but they regard not the work of Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh Beth-Nun Sophit Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh, neither consider the operation of his hands. Therefore, my people are gone into captivity, because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst. Woe to those who fail to intellectually see Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh Beth-Nun Sophit Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh and his divine works. They are infants which never saw light. Those who fail to see intellectually are like the untimely birth of a woman that may not see the sun. And if any man humble himself and see intellectually the works of Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh Beth-Nun Sophit Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh, He will deliver his soul from going into the pit, and his life shall see the light. To see is from the Hebrew word ra'ah, resh, olive, hay, and is used in Psalms chapter 58, verse 8, to warn the inhabitants of the earth. Woe to those who fail to advise self about the divine works of Yudhe-Wahpe Beth-Nun Sophit, Yudhe-Wahpe, and who fail to appear before Yudhe-Wahpe Beth-Nun Sophit, Yudhe-Wahpe, and those who fail to approve of Yudhe-Wahpe Beth-Nun Sophit, Yudhe-Wahpe. Woe to those who fail to behold Yudhe-Wahpe Beth-Nun Sophit, Yudhe-Wahpe. Woe to those who fail to make themselves enjoy Yudhe-Wahpe Beth-Nun Sophit, Yudhe-Wahpe. Woe to those who fail to experience the works of him. Woe to those who fail to take heed of him joyfully. Woe to those who fail to meet and be near Yudhe-Wahpe Beth-Nun Sophit, Yudhe-Wahpe. Woe to those who fail to perceive, regard, and have respect for Yudhe-Wahpe Beth-Nun Sophit, Yudhe-Wahpe. Woe to those who fail to provide for him. Woe to those who fail to show oneself as a supporter in the sight of others. Woe to those who fail to inspect and perceive Yudhe-Wahpe Beth-Nun Sophit, Yudhe-Wahpe. And Yudhe-Wahpe has scattered you among the nations, and you shall be left few in number through abortions, drugs, prisons, birth control, etc., among the heathens, and wherever Yudhe-Wahpe shall lead you. And you have served gods of different religions, the work of men's hands, even wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. But if you shall seek Yudhe-Wahpe, your God, you shall find him. If you seek him with all your heart and with all your soul. When you are in tribulation, and all these things are come upon you, even these last days of evil rule, if you turn to Yudhe-Wahpe your God, and shall be obedient unto his voice. For Yudhe-Wahpe your God is merciful. He will not forsake you, neither destroy you, nor forget the covenant of your fathers which he sware unto them. Woe to those who fail to perceive Yudhe-Wahpe and his son, Yudhe-Wahpe Beth-Nun Sophit, Yudhe-Wahpe. Almighty God, Yudhe-Wahpe, has scattered you among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And we must keep that in our minds, exactly where our family is, and know and understand that our family, we are scattered from one end of the earth even to the other. And there you serve other gods, which neither you nor your forefathers have known, even wood and stone. And among these nations you find no ease, neither does the sole of your foot have rest. But Yudhe-Wahpe gives you there a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind. And your life hangs in doubt before you, and you fear day and night, and you have no assurance of your life. In the morning you say, I wish to God it were evening. And at evening you say, I wish to God it were morning. Why? For the fear of your heart wherewith you fear, and for the sight of violence and chaos which you see. That's what's going on in your life. So these fears are just driving you out of your mind. Woe to those who fail to perceive Yudhe-Wahbe and his son, Yudhe-Wahbe Bethlehem Sophia Yudhe-Wahbe. For Almighty God, Yudhe-Wahbe, has stirred nations up against you, for they have driven you out this day from abiding in your inheritance of Yudhe-Wahbe, and they encourage you to serve other gods. Woe to those who fail to perceive what's going on in your lives. You're encouraged to serve any god other than Yudhe-Wahbe, because they know you are damned to pain and sorrow and suffering, fear, chaos and hunger, unemployment and death at the hands of people from all nations. Woe to those who fail to perceive Almighty God, Yudhe-Wahbe, and his son, Yudhe-Wahbe Bethlehem Sophia Yudhe-Wahbe. Why? Because your fathers have forsaken me and have walked after other gods and other religions and have served them, and you have worshipped them and have forsaken me, and you have not kept my law, and you have done worse than your fathers. For behold, take a good look at yourself. Every single one of you walk as an individualist after the imagination of your evil heart, that you may not listen unto me. Therefore you are cast out into a land and among a people that you know not. Neither you nor your fathers know this people. And you serve other gods and serve other people day and night, where Yudhe-Wahbe does not show you favor in doing it. You are never going to know peace serving any god other than Yudhe-Wahbe.